Raiders Flashpoint update upcoming on the 31st is getting a little bit bigger, it seems. Perhaps even more so in the coming days here, but yesterday, Embark in the Arc Raiders official account ended up teasing another bit of content that, up until this point, was not given based off of what we'd seen marketed so far. And it's a piece that has the potential to change up a bit of the dynamic of your experience in your overall gameplay loop, depending on your playstyle within the game. Today, we're taking a look at what you need to know, examining what else may come along in the next few days as we gear up for the Flashpoint at the end of the month. So, drop your thoughts as we go along, drop a like if you guys enjoy the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Arc Raiders and other FPS coverage. I'd love to have in the community, but for now, let's get into it. So, first and foremost, of course, we do know the Flashpoint update is coming on the 31st. That was confirmed a couple of days ago when the official account stated, "Truth is scarce and rumors spread. The Flashpoint is coming 31/03/26." But then we also just kind of assumed maybe we'd get a bit more teasers here and there, because announcing 2 weeks out, that's a long time for just nothing in between that announcement and that launch to not have anything pertaining to new content. However, nothing was really defined or guaranteed on what those teasers may entail or when we'd see them. But that's when yesterday happened, because turns out we got one. Now, I'd imagine we see another one or two next week before leading up to the 31st, but this teaser ended up saying, "Arc adapt, so do we," with a few emojis of some tools, an explosion, and lightning, saying 31/03/26, just again reiterating that launch date of the Flashpoint update. And this tweet was also accompanied by a 10-second teaser that, if you haven't seen it, check it out. So 10 seconds of a teaser with explosions and sounds happening behind that metal door. Others chiming in that they think that it's a sort of anvil-style hammer noise rather than an explosion itself, but it could be either. But there are a few key details that we do have to take into consideration here that do point us in the right direction for what this ultimately may be of potentially a new weapon coming here. Again, we say potentially just because, while the evidence will point to that, officially speaking, it's not been confirmed just yet. But that's Tianwen's shop door. The same one you can see when you go and visit, it's just that visible slot you'd open is now closed with the peephole above it still having some elements going on in the background. So this almost certainly, to me, comes back to, again, this is a new weapon teaser here at this. Not guaranteed explicitly, but we can likely assume. Now, within that tweet and the announcement of this here, we're going to read a little too far into this probably here, do our stereotypical YouTuber breakdown of what is 5 words and 3 emojis, but saying Arc adapt, so do we, with a few emojis. Arc adapting likely means that we'll have a new way to take out Arc enemies, or at least that's the way that I see it. So I'm thinking this is more of a PvE style weapon rather than a PvP weapon, which is noteworthy of a mention because it is something that, if it's like a grenade launcher, it would have been interesting to see, of course, firstly, how that could transfer to a PvP environment as well, since the Hullcracker does not impact other raiders, and also that we don't necessarily have another sort of PvP style weapon being introduced if this is indeed the case. Again, very well could be just a matter of reading too far into it or making assumptions that don't correlate, but the way that's listed kind of makes me think we're trying explicitly to fight Arc with this new weapon. Now, the emojis used here with this, tools, just seems like we're crafting something new, I'd imagine. Don't think there's really too much more behind that one. The explosion, this is where I think we're leaning towards a launcher of some kind, because I don't think this would be relating to a grenade in particular. If it would, it wouldn't make much sense to have Tianwen, the weapons specialist, having her shop door right there in the preview, right? Like, otherwise you'd logically think we'd see Apollo's quarters or him somewhere in that, where you'd see that teaser relating to a grenade. But instead, we see the weapons specialist area. But then with an explosion, or maybe again, it is an anvil perhaps, with the striking of something, creating something new, I think it kind of checks the boxes that we could see something explosive with that emoji. And then the lightning bolt, this one's interesting because it's actually the exact same icon as the energy ammo, that when you look at those weapon cards and what comes along with them, that's what denotes that energy ammo. So maybe some kind of energy launcher here at this. Now, a couple of ideas I've seen floated around. One that I could definitely follow is the idea of an EMP style launcher. Kind of think like a showstopper, but in Hullcracker form. Another one, some people think it may be a railgun of some kind, so maybe this is something that is akin to the Jupiter. Not entirely sure how that would work. Maybe it's just like a lower rarity of a weapon compared to the Jupiter, because that's the legendary style that you do have to obtain from the Harvester and the Queen, but maybe it's something along those lines. Now, I could be wrong, but personally, I'm thinking it's a launcher of some kind. Potentially, maybe it's an odd pull to think of adding another launcher into the game, especially if we only get one weapon at a time here. Like, if this is the only weapon we get for the Flashpoint update, it might seem strange if we don't have anything that kind of accommodates more PvP or something that's a bit more sort of, I mean, just along the lines of literally any other category of weapon, but it does kind of fill a potential gap here at this. Let me explain. The Hullcracker is your standard launcher that we have. It's a relatively easy weapon to obtain the blueprint for, and you can purchase it from Tianwen, but it's also a relatively, kind of hidden weapon, because it's not a blueprint that you can find out in the world. It's a niche weapon to obtain because of that, because you have to go through 40, 50 quests or something like that to end up getting to the point that you can unlock it. Now, for those that are unaware, it's one of 5 blueprints in the entire game that are found in quest, and only one of 3 quest exclusive blueprints. Again, you cannot find the Hullcracker out in the world as of recording this. Maybe that changes in the future, but as of right now, not the case. Those 3 exclusive blueprints being the Berletta, Lure Grenade, and of course the Hullcracker. The Trigger Nade and Vita Spray are also quest rewards, but can be found in their respective loot pools. So with that in mind, with the Hullcracker being one of 3 exclusive quest rewards, not everybody does the quests. Also, for those that have done the expeditions, those quests reset, so not everybody has redone those quests. I'd wager that there's actually a ton of players that do not have that blueprint, perhaps even a majority of players who do not have that blueprint, even though there's a defined path on how to obtain it, and it's a relatively easy path at that. It just takes time and is a concentrated effort you have to make to get there. So if you have another weapon of a similar caliber, similar use case, but in the general loot pool, you're going to make a launcher type of weapon accessible to even more types of players. Something that can allow more players to take out those arc enemies in a very easy fashion that, yes, the Hullcracker can allow you to do, but again, if it's a player that doesn't have that blueprint, doesn't feel like sinking in a couple of hours of playtime grinding out specifically those quests to get to that point, you could end up just finding it out of a certain loot pool in an hour or 2 or so. So it's just something that makes it way more accessible in that fashion. That's what they may be trying to do with this here. Now, ultimately, it could be something that is entirely different. Maybe they don't care that some people don't have the launcher. Maybe it's something that's just a more powerful launcher to take down bigger arc threats, because we do know, of course, we have a bigger arc threat coming in the April update, the Riven Tides update. And of course, we could still use more weaponry to take down things like the Matriarch and the Queen existing at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. And honestly, hey, it could be something that's not even a launcher. Maybe this is entirely off base, and this is an entire misrepresentation or misread of the situation at hand. But ultimately, we've got no specific information just yet, and we won't have anything confirmed for a bit of time still, but it should be noted that this is likely the first of a few new teasers coming. Of course, like we talked about, 2 weeks of an announcement to the launch of this new update is quite a lot of time for there to be nothing about the new content coming, and of course, they've already detailed one new thing here as a teaser, so we're likely going to see a few more things coming next week at some point. We know we have a new map condition, new arc threat, a new project, and a scrappy update. This potential new weapon is not something we had ever sort of promised or marketed to us with this update. So maybe there's a couple of more things here that starting maybe on Monday or Tuesday, we get another teaser that points towards even more coming in that update that would be otherwise not really marketed as such on this roadmap. So that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Leave your thoughts down below. Just want to talk a little bit about this here and break it down a little further if you missed this update and announcement. But let me know your thoughts down below. What kind of weapon do you think it will be? If it is a weapon we're getting, let me know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Arc Raiders and even more FPS content. I'd love to have in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.